Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Power of Three. We've been going on this journey now. This is the third episode, and the idea is to find your gaps extremely rapidly. So let's jump in without much ado. This is part 3. Here's your first question. What comes first on a project? All right. If you need more time, hit the pause button. I'm about to show you the answer. The answer to this is business case. The business case comes first, and then the project charter, and then the project management plan. Next question, who is accountable for refinement? All right, 3, 2, and 1. The answer, product owner. The product owner is ultimately accountable for backlog refinement. Next question. What is derived from planning activities? Okay, make sure you hit that pause button if you need more time. The answer to this is not quality audit documents. That's in executing. It's not forecasts and reports. That's in monitoring and controlling. From planning, the best answer is risk plans. Next question. What should be done next after developing a project plan? Hit the pause button. 3, 2, 1. The answer, my friends, you just created the plan. You wouldn't close out the project, and you've already done the charter. So the best answer is report generation. Next question. Who is responsible for performing the project work on a predictive project? 3, 2, 1. The answer? Team. Same way the team does the work on predictive, same way team does the work on agile projects. Next question. Who is responsible for facilitating all the daily scrums and retrospective meetings? Be sure to hit the pause button if you need more time. 3, 2, 1. The answer is development team. It's not the project manager and it's not the project sponsor. There's no project manager in the world of Scrum, right? Project sponsor in the world of Scrum, even though they're stakeholders, we don't call out those roles. Moreover, it says who is responsible for all the daily scrums. In the real world, that's not how it works. In the real world, the Scrum Master is not responsible for all the daily scrums and the retrospective meetings. The idea is that the Scrum Master will coach the team, but ultimately the team is going to jump in to do those. So the development team is the best option in this case. Okay. Just so you know, if you're feeling weak in your prep, you need to go on down to hpmexam.com and sign up for the PMP Exam Immersion. PMP Exam Immersion is based on this awesome PMP Exam study book, and it's broken down chapter by chapter in color, if I may add, in a very engaging way. When you sign up for the training, you get a PDF copy of that book, and we go into great depth to get you into that right frame of mind for your exam. Next question. A team member who has enlarged scope. A team member has enlarged scope without permission. What should you do first? Gonna let you think about it for a little bit. Three, 2, and 1. All right. The answer to this question is not to raise a change request. If the scope has been enlarged, you shouldn't remove the scope just like that, because anything could have happened, right? It seems like they've either added work to be done or they've done work. Either way, you always want to assess the impact of the addition or the removal of scope, because there could be something that the person did that wasn't part of the plan. It's enlarged scope, but maybe it was necessary. They just did it without permission. So in that case, you want to do some kind of regression test to see what happens if we go back to our former state. Is it really going to hold up, or have they done something that has put the system in an unstable state, whatever that is, whether software, hardware, whatever it is? So the best answer is assess impact of addition or removal of scope, and then you go from there. Next question. The project's SPI is 0.75. What should the project manager do? All right, the best answer, my friends, the SPI is an indicator of schedule performance. So you know that there's schedule issues. Now, you should assess the issues, but when you take a look at the other options you've got, close the project, doesn't make sense, report to management, that's not what you are meant to do as a professional. The best option here would be for you to do schedule compression. You're late, you need to catch up, compress the schedule. But of course, if you had the option of assessing what is wrong first, you would do that. All right, next question. The project CPI is 3.55. What should the project manager do? All right, I will show you the answer. So make sure you hit the pause button if you need more time. The answer is not C, and it is not A. It's B. Assess this condition. Find out, why is our CPI 3.55? That is crazy. That means we're meant to have spent $3.55 on a piece of work, but we only spent $1. That's crazy. So you're 3.55, you're 3.55 times efficient than you originally said you were going to be in terms of cost. That's suspicious. So you want to assess the condition. Even though it looks good, it would be silly to do nothing, because obviously something is up and you need to know what's up. All right, let's go to the next one. Quality metrics was selected, and now the quality control measurements indicate quality has not been met in the deliverables. What should the PM do first? Okay. Again, your mindset for the exam is not to choose report to management. No, we don't do that. The next one, it says document as a risk. Well, it says, and now the quality control measurements indicate quality has not been met. This is not a risk. This is an issue. This is happening right now. So B and C are not going to help you. It's not a risk. Don't go reporting to management. The best thing to do is to compile a quality report, assess the report, analyze it, and stuff like that. But A is the best option in this regard. Here's your next one. Physical resources allocated to your predictive project are not being used as planned. Whose responsibility is this to resolve and control these resources? The answer is the project manager. Be aware that on your PMP exam, no matter how they may try to confuse you or trip you up, the project manager is typically the language you hear, right? And this is really control resources, which is the project manager's job anyway. So it's not the product owner, they don't get involved in that. And it's not the project sponsor, they don't get involved in that, it's the project manager. So that's a freebie question. Next question. Stakeholders have complained that information promised to them has not yet been distributed. What should the project manager do? All right, hit the pause button if you need more time. Now, the best option, my friends, is not to prove that you sent the information. Why do you want to do that? I sent the information. It's not going to get you anywhere. Ensuring risk plans were implemented, that's not helping. What you want to do is check the communication effectiveness. Make sure that the communication management plan, what you have planned to do for communications, is indeed working. All right. The other options either don't make sense or are not proactive. Proving that you sent the information does nothing. Solve the problem. Closest one to solving the problem is checking the effectiveness, and then you can do something about it. Next, which comes first? Is it risk response planning, qualitative risk analysis, quantitative risk analysis? Which comes first? All right, 3, 2, 1. The best answer, my friends, is B. Qualitative risk analysis comes first, then quantitative, then planning risk responses. Okay. I hope you didn't read A as plan risk management, because that's different. Okay, let's move on. Velocity should be used to do what? 3, 2, 1. The best answer, my friends, is plan work. Velocity is not used to hold the team accountable, right? Because velocity could fluctuate with capacity. If you don't have the capacity you had last sprint, your velocity is going to be different, wildly different. And then you wouldn't use velocity to reward the team. It's also not used to punish the team. So we don't do that in the world of Agile. It's really more to plan work to take in, and we're able to see if we can deliver or not. Next question. Which of these can be used when identifying stakeholders? 3, 2, 1. The answer to this, my friends, is none other than the power interest grid. Probability impact grid, which should really read matrix, is used in risk management, and regression analysis is used in closing the project or the phase, right? That's where you would use regression analysis. So best answer is A. All right, for those of you just come in, we're going through a gap finding exercise. And as a reminder, this weekend on Sunday, we are having the PMP Exam Immersion. To sign up, go to hpmexam.com. We're going to be covering people, process, business. Again, it's based on a very robust curriculum put together by my buddy Roy and I. It's a really robust book that covers people, process, and business methodically. So, you know, you've got the PMBOK guide 6, you got the 7th, you've got the Agile practice guide, you got all this stuff. You got the Scrum guide if you wanted to add it in. Well, in this book, it covers everything all in one place, and it goes through the content by the domains. All right. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, I would recommend go to hpmexam.com, sign up right now. It's gonna get you in ship shape for your tests. Next question. Which of these is a 3-dimensional tool for identifying stakeholders? 3, 2, 1. The best answer is Stakeholder Cube. It's got 3 axes. We've got the level of power, the level of interest, and we've got the attitude as 3rd dimension. Next question. Which threat response approach responds to a risk only if it occurs? 3, 2, 1. The best answer is accept, because it has 2 accepts, passive and active. Passive acceptance does nothing. Active acceptance responds to a risk with a contingency that's been put aside if the risk happens. So that's the best answer. Next question. Setting up a special purpose partnership or spin-off company is an example of which strategy? 3, 2, 1. The best answer to this, my friends, is not exploit or enhance. The best answer, if you know the definition in the PMBOK guide, it's share. When you create a company to harvest the risk because the company you're in right now can't deal with it, so you get another company, spin-off company, sister company, it's really sharing the risk. All right, here's your next question. Telling everyone to stay at home during a pandemic so germs are not spread across the office is an example of what? All right, hit the pause button if you need more time. The answer is avoid. It is not accept, because accept would be not doing anything proactive. Telling people to stay at home is proactive, and it's not mitigate because it doesn't reduce the risk, it removes the risk. So we're saying we don't want germs to be spread across the office. If no one's in the office, then germs can't be spread. That's avoid. Next, the chances of you winning the bid are now 100% because you put your best people on the project and reduced overhead costs. What does this describe? 3, 2, 1. The best answer that takes a risk to 100% if it's a positive risk, the answer is exploit. Okay? That's exploit. Exploit is taking the probability to 100% for positive risk. Let's go to our next one. You refuse to do anything in response to a positive risk of $10 million. What is this response called? All right. Hit the pause button. The answer is passive accept. Not doing anything. There's a positive risk. You're not doing anything. It's still accept, even on the side of positive, and it's active accept. All right. Let's go to our next question. A stakeholder expressed displeasure to you about a feature which they had initially tested. You are the PM. What should you do? Three, 2, and 1. So if they express displeasure, you need to understand what exactly is up. You wouldn't just correct the feature and you wouldn't do nothing. You need to evaluate the problem. Are you seeing a trend, a pattern in these where you're actually solving the problem, not doing nothing, and not just jumping in to correct the feature or jumping in to do something? You got to always assess. And that's really what I'm trying to drum in these questions. Here's the next one. When sharing knowledge that is hard to codify, you should use what? Three, 2, and 1. Well, if it's hard to codify, you shouldn't be codifying it, right? You shouldn't be writing it down. You want to use the concept of tacit knowledge. It's one of the things we talk about in this book. There's a difference between tacit knowledge and explicit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is knowledge that you would typically convey as much as possible face-to-face, interacting with an individual in a closer way than just writing it down and telling someone, oh, just go read it. No, because they won't understand it. So tacit knowledge versus explicit knowledge, we talk about that in the building of a shared understanding as well. We talk about this in a number of places in this curriculum. But if you haven't read 4.4, as far as managed project knowledge, it's possible that might have escaped you because it's spoken about in this world of project management. So tacit knowledge is the one you wanted to choose, not explicit. Explicit is easy to codify. Tacit knowledge, that's the one that's tricky, right? That's the one that's hard to codify. Hard logic is just a distractor. It's thrown in there just to distract you. That actually comes from dependencies. We've got hard logic, soft logic, and so on. That's from scheduling. Has nothing to do with this. All right, here's the next one. Which of these is a communication method? 3, 2, 1. The answer is pull. You know, you got interactive push and pull. It's pull communication. Fax, voice to text, those are not one of the top 3, one of the umbrella 3. All right, here's your next one. The first thing you should do after planning a knowledge area is typically what? 3, 2, 1. After planning, what do? You execute. So execute is what I would have been looking for. Let's go to our next one. Next question. To find the variances a team member has caused to the budget, to find the variances a team member has caused to the budget, which of the following would you use? Okay, 3, 2, and 1. All right, the answer is cost variance. Cost variance is what you would use for variances, for cost. Schedule variances would be variances as far as schedule is concerned. Let's go to the next one. Which performance is best for a project that is live and underway? Three, 2, 1. Let's take a look. Schedule variance of -10. That means you are behind schedule. That's not really good. SPI of 0 means earned value divided by planned value is 0. That means you got a 0 for earned value. That means nothing has started. This says a project that is underway. So the only way you would get an SPI of 0 is if absolutely nothing has been done, or if the project is not underway. If the project is underway, you should have some numbers. All right. In this example, this question, the best option is CPI of 1. It's perfect. It's right on point. And out of all the metrics, it's the one that shows something has really been done. Next question. How many priority 1 items are there in the product backlog? 3, 2, and 1. The answer is 1 priority 1. Think about it. You can only have 1 priority 1. That's why it's called priority 1. So like when we use Kano and Moscow, and we get all of these must have, should have, could have, would like, things like that, satisfiers, delighters, and so on. Bear in mind that those are just categories. We still need to slice in those and find out which one is a true priority 1. All right, next question. How many roles are there in Scrum? All right, 3, 2, 1. The answer is 3. There are 3 roles: the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the team. Next question. In Scrum, the most common duration for a sprint is what? All right, some of you have seen this one before. 3, 2, and 1. The answer? 10 business days. In other words, 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a sweet spot. It's not 4 weeks, it's not 30 days, it's not 3 weeks. It's 2 weeks, which is the equivalent of 10 business days. I hope you found this to be helpful, my friends. Remember, if you're looking for help in any respect, go on down to Praizion.com, sign up for my free podcast, pmradio.org. And if you are struggling, you're struggling on the topics for your exam, you need to be in my next half-day immersion boot camp. It's very low cost. It's ridiculous. You will never find a course as great as this, offering you so much. for such a low cost. So go on down to hpmexam.com. It's going to be live. Connect with me. My buddy Roy attends virtually. In other words, we get to hear from Roy. He shares nuggets with us via video. You want to be on that course, all right? Again, you're going to get this 600-page book PDF. It's a really, really great body of work that Roy and I have put together to help people who are getting ready for the test, all right? I hope you found this to be helpful. Don't forget to share this with your friends. If you enjoyed the content that I shared with you tonight, leave a good comment, hit like, hit subscribe, hit that bell icon so that you can be part of the next Power of 3. All right? Thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.